I want to believe that's not the case. Anyways, first of all, I'm going to ask. It seems like people are shy to unmute themselves. They probably don't think they have the greatest kind of voices. I don't know. I'm sure everyone has a peculiar voice, and your voice is beautiful the way it is. So if you're not shy, please unmute yourself and let's get this quick and rolling. Seems like a couple of them cannot hear me or they have poor network. I understand Nigeria doesn't have the best of network, and I think a lot of people on this call are based in Nigeria, apart from Mistura. And I think Omowale Ola Akirele, my senior man in the house. Okay, Mistura, it doesn't seem like these people are hearing me. Can you please try to confirm
Okay,
that?
so what do you need them to do? Unmute
I,
and do
I
what?
need them to unmute. I need them to say hi, so I'm sure that I'm getting feedback. I see a lot of people still mute. It means they're not hearing me.
Probably they are in noisy environments. So please, those that are
Okay.
unmuted, have they said I?
I only heard from Baruka, if I'm correct. Baruka, am I correct with your name?
Baraka.
It's Baraka.
What?
It's
Repeat.
Baraka.
Barokan. Okay, apologies. Okay, I saw Anna unmute herself for a second, but I didn't hear her say anything. Anna, please, let's hear you.
I think she has left the
Hi
call. Okay, yeah,
everyone.
she's here. Okay, okay.
She's here. She said, hi, everyone. Anna, it's good to hear from you. Uh, okay, so go ahead. So I'm going to ask first of all, we're having a conversation on time management, and we're going to try to manage time as much as possible, right? Now, first of all, how many of us have make it a habit to put on a wristwatch? So since I only have two persons that are responding, I'll probably start to ask them the questions. Baruka, do you have a wristwatch? Do you wear a wristwatch? Maybe for
Oh no, I
fashion.
don't.
You don't have a wristwatch.
Yes, I don't.
You're one of the people I want to attack today. Anna, do you have a wristwatch?
Yes, I just said. Oh,
Do you have a wristwatch? So for a wristwatch for you, is it fashion or is it because you want to be time conscious? Which is it?
no, I want to be time conscious.
Well, because you want to be time conscious, right? So it means you have a
Yes,
wristwatch
sir.
that works, right? So is it a
Yes, I
smart
do.
wristwatch or a regular analog wristwatch? Because I noticed that Gen Zs don't know how to tell
Analog.
time for analog wristwatches. Correct me if I'm wrong. I watched one video online one time and then I saw like it was actually white people and they were being interviewed and a lot of Gen Z, they were showing them analog time, this normal what we have here, like the one on my screen. And a lot of them couldn't tell the time. They were used to the digital ones. They just want to see digits. They were not convinced on how to tell the time with the short hand and the long hand. Anyways, everyone should have a wristwatch. I think that's first and most important thing. And then because that makes you time aware. If you're not time aware, how the hell can you manage time? So okay, Baruka, so that's a feedback for you, right? It doesn't have to be an expensive wristwatch, but you need to have a wristwatch, first of all. Okay, so the topic of today is time management, right? And then I have a sub saying techniques for prioritizing tasks, managing procrastination, and simply finding the balance. So I'll sing a song, a very short song. It's by a legend. I'm sure this because the legend actually predates me. I think he was he was up there in the 1989 thereabout. But this song is a very popular song. I'm sure even if you did not or you were not of course you were not there then when the song was raining, but probably must have heard the song. So the name of the songwriter and and the musician is Mike Okri. And the song's title is Time Na Money. So the song goes like this. It says, time na money, yo, time na money, time na money, yo, time na money. And it says, use your time well. No waka waka, no talkie talkie. I'll just stop there because I'm not trying to release my album today. Anyways, the point is, it's telling you that time is money. In other words, time is a currency, right? It means time is expendable. It means time is, once I spend it, I cannot recover it. And of course, if I give you money now, you want to try to manage money, right? So that you don't go broke. That's the same way you have to manage time because time you can't get back. Money, you probably can get money back. I don't know. But I can assure you that whatever time is spent can never be recovered. So without further ado, let's get into the session. Okay, so okay, good. So Now, I have a quick quote on my screen. It says, time is the most valuable resource that we all have. Yet, many struggle with managing it effectively. I promise you, a lot of people struggle to manage their time effectively. And that it doesn't matter if you're a student that's juggling coursework or extracurricular activities, or whether you're a professional like me that's handling deadlines, meetings, and you still have to slot in sessions like this. Mastering time management is crucial for the success of anyone, of anything, whatever project, whatever endeavor you involve yourself in. Okay, so today we'll be looking at several things regarding time. The first, we'll be looking at the core principles of time management. I just want everyone to confirm that you can hear me. Mr. You'll be my back end. I just want when you can hear me, I believe
Yes.
everyone can hear me. Okay, so core principles of time management will be the first subtopic, right? So we'll try to see the principles of time management. Of course, you need to know the principles for you to be able to manage the time itself. Next, we'll now have to look at practical tools and techniques. It's not just knowing the principles, you have to know how to apply these principles, right? And then we look at time management because I understand that the audience is predominantly students, right? So we look at practical examples of managing time for students, and then we'll have a final thought, and then we'll have a Q&A session, all right? I hope that works. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, mind you, this session is not geared towards making you robots. No, 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 no. So see, the idea here is when you learn how to manage time, or when you learn some of all these principles that seem really, really theoretical, right? And then you're intentional about applying some of these principles. You find out that, okay, maybe for the first few months when you start to apply these principles, it might seem inorganic. It might seem like you have to be really intentional. It might seem robotic, right? That's not the goal. I'm not trying to make robots here. I'm trying to make people who are going to learn to manage time and learn to imbibe whatever they learn today into their lifestyle, make it their culture, make it their habit. Do you understand? So, for example, some of these principles we're going to talk about here are principles I use myself, right? But not like I'm telling myself, okay, now I'm going to use this principle. No, it has become my lifestyle because at some point in my life, I was intentional about, inculcating these principles. And then it now became part of me, right? It now happens to be that you're just doing these things, right? Without even thinking about it. You're just doing this involuntarily, like it's just your life. So that's the aim of all of this, that we first of all learn of all these principles, right? Be intentional about applying them at first, and then eventually make them our lifestyle. Okay, so I have this really nice clock on my screen, which actually took some time to draw while I was making the slide. And I was very particular about the time. If you can see, the time is 3 p.m. or it's 3 o'clock anyways on my very nice clock. So yeah, this was significant because that was the time we're supposed to start the session. Unfortunately, we did not start by 3 p.m. Anyways, move ahead. So now the first and most important part or principle of time management is planning, right? If you do not plan, how are you going to actually manage time? There's no plan. You're just randomly doing stuff. Now, I'm sure a lot of you, if I ask you guys, how many of you plan? Everyone on this call will say they plan. But today I'm going to tell you that most of the things you do are not called planning. So I'll go straight. Now, so I have something pop. I say planning requires you to walk out and write down. So trust me, you might think to yourself and say, okay, I want to go to the market today. And that's a plan, right? Oh, I plan to go to the market. And after I go to the market, I'm going to stop by somewhere and go. All these things are in your head, right? That's not a plan. I like to call that a wish. In other words, what you should say is that I wish to go to the market today. I wish to do this because that's not a plan. Let me tell you what a plan is. A plan has to be documented. Now, I understand that you're thinking, I remember I said I'm trying to make you robots. You think about documenting, now, I mean writing down. Now, writing down doesn't literally mean getting a pen and a paper. Of course, we are all using smartphones these days, right? And there's so many other devices that we all use. A proper plan is documented. So I could just pick up the notes on my phone and just type, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that. That is planning. You know why I need to document a plan? I need to document a plan because it makes it trackable, right? If I have a plan that is documented, I could go back to that document and say, okay, I've been able to achieve this objective in this plan. I've been able to achieve this. I've been able to achieve that. And I can actually say what percentage of achievements I have gotten to. Then that's a plan. But in my head, I can forget. I could have a plan in my head, and the next minute somebody comes up with something else, and then it flashes off, and I cannot remember anymore. What happens to my plan? Down the drain. So, like I said, if it is not documented, it is simply a wish. So next time you say, I plan to, and you don't write it down, just perhaps you should correct your vocabulary and say, I wish to, because that's not a plan. So, anyways, a planning requires you to work out and write down everything you need to get done. And this might what require you to write a to-do list. So you could have a to-do list, all right? Or you can even complete the planner template. That's if maybe you have a bigger thing to achieve, right? You can go as far as maybe completing the planner template so that you can properly track it, right? So now that's for planning. So I've been able to plan. Next thing is on this my plan, I'm going to have, okay, like I said, I'm going to have several activities, right? That will make up the entire plan. Good. Now, these activities have to be done some way or the other, right? Now I have to do the next part or the next principle of time management. I have to prioritize, right? So now this says once you've completed the planning stage, the tasks need to be prioritized. Like which one do I do first? Of course, there are certain things that will come in terms of chronology. Like for example, let's put it this way. If I'm going to go out, right? The plan is to go out of my house. And inside this plan, it will require me to take a bath, right? And then when I take a bath, I have to dress up, right? And then when I dress up, I have to probably, if you're a girl, I probably have to make up because I don't know if I'm going to meet one fine boy that's going to, ask me out. Or if I'm a guy, I have to look clean, right? I might want to talk to someone, right? Now, you find out that there's no way that dressing up is going to come before bathing. That's true, right? Because it's definitely has an order by chronology. This has to come before the other. But there are certain things that can maybe go parallelly. In that case, I have to prioritize. Which one am I going to take first? Which one am I going to do? Which one has more potential? Do you understand? That's where prioritizing comes into play. So once you've completed the planning stage, you need to prioritize. You need to decide the order. Like I said, the order sometimes might come by virtue of the chronology of it. Like certain things have to come before other things, right? If that's not the case, you have to on your own decide the order and then you have to prioritize. So you should actually set your priority based on the importance of this task. Okay. That should be your core focus. How important is this task? Oh, this is more important. This should come first. Oh, this is less important. I could put it here. I could put it there. That's the next, principle of time management. If I do not plan, I do not prioritize, I'm already setting myself up for a problem. Now, the next one is scheduling. Now, people hear planning and scheduling and they think like it's the same thing, right? But no, it is not. Now, let's see. Let's talk about scheduling. So now we know that we already know what we want to do, right? We've written down this plan. Remember, I said if you do not write down, it's a wish. So I'm not talking about a wish, I'm talking about a plan. So we've written down this plan. We've gone further to prioritize the tasks in the plan, right? I know what I'm going to do first, what I'm going to do next, right? The next thing is I have to actually schedule this plan. Now, scheduling isn't just the planning. It is me now giving specific timing. Remember, I said, okay, I want to go out. That's the plan. I plan to visit Pelumi today, right? I plan to visit Latifa that just came into the call, right? Then I have to say, yeah, if I'm going to visit Latifa, I have to probably, take a
Station.
bath. I have to wear a cloth, right? Mr. Red, you want to say something? Mr. Are you there? Hello?
Hello? No, I
No.
wasn't the one.
Okay, well, someone else. Okay, I'll go on. So, like I said, I have a plan, right? I want to go to see my friend, Latifa, or whoever the person is. And that will require me to take a bath, require me to, dress up and all of that stuff. Now, I've done the plan. I need to schedule it. I need to say by 10 a.m. I'm going to be taking a bath. That is scheduling. By 10:15, I should be out of the bathroom. I should be dressing up, right? By 10:20, or whatever the case is, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. So planning is me thinking about all of the stuff, writing it down. Prioritizing is me getting the order, right? Now scheduling is me now allotting a time to each of all these tasks. That's scheduling. And that's very, very important in managing time. The next principle would be organization. Now let's talk about organization. Now, this is where we now begin to understand the tools and the resources we need to make your plan come to fruition. Oh, I plan to do this. Now, what technology do I need? You're asking the questions. Do you understand? Okay, I plan to be a tech expert by the end of the year, for example. Oh, what technology do I need? What programming language do I need to learn? Do you understand? This is where the organization comes into play, right? I've planned, I've scheduled, I have to organize it, right? What programs do I need? What people do I need? Sometimes your plan cannot be achieved by only you, right? You need persons to actually work with you to achieve that plan. So now you have to actually think, who are these people that I need? Of course, you can't do everything alone, right? Or sometimes you need a support system, right? Who are these persons that I need? Oh, like we are in a mentor-mentee scenario, right? I need advice. Who are the mentors in this line of my planning that I need? So, for example, oh, I want to be this, right? I probably look for someone in that line, right? Who's going to be a mentor for me, right? Who's going to give me advice? So, in my planning, this is the organizational stage where I'm what? Thinking deep, brainstorming, and thinking about all of the resources that I need to achieve my plan. Okay. Now, the next principle is delegating. Now, not every part of your plan or every task in your plan can be done by you. Sometimes you have to outsource some things, right? Okay, oh, these are the tasks. This is my plan. This is the schedule. I want this done by this time. Some things I cannot do on my own, right? Some things I cannot do on my own because I do not have the skill set. Some things I cannot do on my own because why do it on my own when I can get someone to do it for me? You understand? So then I have to delegate. And this is actually a very, very big skill. We'll talk about it as we go further in the session. Delegation is a very big skill, a very important skill to have. Not everything you need to do for yourself in order to achieve your goals. You need to delegate some to persons to help you do. So now we'll go to the next principle. So having done all this nice stuff, I've planned, I wrote it down, nice bullet points, looking all beautiful. I've been able to prioritize. Oh, I know which I'm going to do first, which I'm going to do next. Oh, I've scheduled it. I know the time. I'm going to do this by 10 a.m. Guy, I'm going to do this by 12, whatever the case is, right? Then I've done my organization. I know who is going to be with me, what I need to do, what resources. I'm probably getting all that. Then the ones that I don't need to do myself, I've delegated them. I got the guys to get stuff done for me. Now, all this beautiful stuff, if I'm not disciplined enough to follow through with all of this, I will never achieve it. So now discipline comes in. I said, okay, I said that I want to take a bath by 10 a.m. If I'm not disciplined enough, I wouldn't take a bath by 10 a.m. I'll find myself standing up from the bed by 11, right? So what happens to my plan? It goes off the roof, right? Because everything now has to now drop. Everything now becomes disorganized. In that point, you're now panting, you are, apprehensive and all of that stuff. Discipline is actually in the center of it all, right? All this beautiful stuff, templates and all that stuff. Maybe you made an Excel sheet and blah, 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 but you're not disciplined enough to follow through. That would just be one white elephant project or whatever the case may be. And I promise you, without discipline, you cannot achieve whatever plan that you set out. Okay. Now, say you are a disciplined person, right? The next side, which is actually very important, and I asked the question earlier, if everyone has a wristwatch, the next one is time awareness. Sometimes you might get carried away doing attacks and then you're not actually focused on the time. What will happen is I'll get stuff overlapping. Okay, so now I'm now probably using the time I'm supposed to be doing this stuff to do another stuff because I'm not time aware. You should understand. And that's why, of course, you need to have a wristwatch. First of all, time awareness is actually a cognitive skill. You understand? Sometimes you just feel it within, right? I could be doing something and I can feel like there's a tendency for humans to feel like, oh man, I've expended too much time here. Oh man, so I said 15 minutes. There should be like a mindset that tells me, oh, I'm heading towards 15 minutes, right? And again, I should have a wristwatch, right? So for those of us who do not have a wristwatch on this call, after this session, please go under the bridge. Yeah, these are bulky guys that sell cheap wristwatches. Although, if you buy it today, it might spoil on Friday, but then it's a start. Do you understand? Get something. Have a wristwatch. Make sure you are time aware and make sure you're always checking the time because you cannot manage what you are not aware of. How the hell am I managing time when I don't even know what the time is? Right? I said I want to be here at 4 p.m. and I don't even know it's 4 p.m. So yeah, you might want to say that, oh yeah, we all have phones and all of that stuff. And now I can simply check my phone. Sometimes you might not be able to bring your phone out, right? But you have a wristwatch on your hand. You can always twist your hand and see the time. So I advise everyone on this call to definitely get a wristwatch, right? Make sure you have a wristwatch on your hand. It could be a smart one, it could be the analog one, or whatever the case is. It keeps you aware. You can always tilt and find out what the time is. right? And then, of course, this will even help you develop the cognitive skill even further. Because the moment you're always, twisting your hand to check the time, you now become aware of how, oh, this is going to take 5 minutes, it's going to take 10 minutes. Oh, this is what 10 minutes feels like. Oh, this is what 15 minutes feels like. Do you understand? So time awareness is another major core principle of time management. So what we've done is we've tried to see, and then I can tell you some of these things, all these things I've said are not exhaustive. So other person can come and have a session with you, right? And then he comes up with some other principles, okay? This is not like the Bible. Do you understand? There are other principles that other persons might talk about. But I can tell you for free that even if someone comes and sits here and has a conversation with you, it's still going to center around some of all these things I've talked about. These are core. Do you understand? There might be additions here and subtractions there and whatnot. But the principles of time management will hover around some of all these things that I've talked about. So now that we know the principles, right? We have to actually know some techniques, right? And these techniques that I'm going to talk about, you find yourself that they're actually adopting some of all these principles that we've discussed here. So let's go further. Let's not waste time. We have to manage time, of course, right? So go ahead. Now let's look at practical tools and techniques for time management. Now the first one is the time management matrix or the Eisenhower matrix. You probably must have heard of it, or you might not have, but even if you've not, let's hear about it today. I have this really nice graphics, right? Which has 4 quadrants, right? You can see one quadrant saying, so I'm going to move my cursor. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Musira, can you see my cursor? So I know that people are. Can you see my
Yes,
cursor,
I
Musira?
can. Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm just going to get this really nice. Oh, no, I didn't want to draw that. Anyways, please, pardon me. The technology sometimes can be crazy. I didn't want to draw. I wanted to get a pointer. Laser pointer. Okay. Okay, so I have a laser pointer now. Ignore that thing I just drew. I'm not ready to clean it off. Anyway, so go ahead. So you can see this 4 quadrants, right? Here I have important, right? Here I have urgent, right? I have the other side not urgent and I have not important. So we're going to find a way to intertwine all this together. So in my first quadrant, I have urgent and important. What does urgent mean? It means I have to do it like there's a deadline for it, right? That's what urgent means. And the next one is important. So if I have something that is urgent, in other words, I have a short time span for it, right? I have a deadline to meet. And it's also an important thing. Of course, important is subjective. You have to evaluate, you have to actually use your cognitive ability to know if something is important or not. And if it's urgent and important, do it right now. Don't even wait. Don't think. Right now, get to it. Oh, you have an exam, right? It's coming up tomorrow, for example, right? That's urgent, isn't it? It's going to happen tomorrow. And it's an exam, it's definitely important, right? So reading is important in that case. So do it right now, get it done. Now, the next one would be important, but not urgent. Yeah, it's very important, right? It's very important. You need to do it. You need to get your head done. It's important. You must be fine, right? You need to, meet people. You want to go out, right? It's very important, I promise you. But maybe it's not urgent. You don't have a deadline. If you don't make your hair, you're not going to die that day. For example, right? What do you do? Schedule it. Get a time, a convenient time, and stick to it. So I'm going to say, I want to do this. It's important. However, it's not urgent. It's not life-taking, right? So I'm going to schedule it. I'm going to put a date to it. That is what? Important, but not urgent. Now let's go to the next quadrant. Urgent, but not important. Urgent in that it has a time span, right? It's going to, if I don't do it in the next maybe 10, 15 minutes, it becomes useless. It means I already lost it, right? But it's not important. Delegate it. Look for someone to do it for you, right? It's urgent. Oh, okay, somebody, a friend of yours said he wants you to help him do something, for example, right? That is urgent for that person because he wants it maybe at a certain time. But perhaps in this grand scope of things, it's not important to you, right? Then look for someone else to help you do it. Delegate it. If you have someone, like for example, if you're a mentor, you give it to your mentee, right? If you're a mentee, you have friends, give it to your friends, right? And this was actually, and then finally, if it is not urgent and is not important, it's just jai, right? And of course, this hangs in the balance, right? Delete it. So think about it, evaluate it. It's not important. Still not urgent. Why am I wasting my time? Because you are wasting time doing that stuff. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't have nothing to do with you having a good time or doing extracurricular activities. We'll probably discuss that as we go further. But think about it, evaluate it. Is it urgent? No. Is it important? No. Delete it. You have no business doing that. You're wasting time. All right. So, and this was simply this. Okay, I'll clean that now. This matrix was developed by Dwight E.D. Eisenhower. He was an American president at some time. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Now, the next tool, practical tool and technique is the Pareto principle. Now, this principle isn't like rule, will I say like a mathematical rule, no, right? But over time, it has proven to be actually very valid. Now, the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle, right, says that 80% of outcomes result from 20% of causes. Now, let me bring that to life quickly with an example, right? Because we have a lot of students on this course, so I'll just use an example. Now, you've probably taken a course, right? You find out that this course, really bulky course, right? Very bulky course, big, one big textbook of maybe 500 pages, right? But eventually, the end goal, you're going to write an exam on that course. You find out that the exam cannot come from the 500 pages of that text, right? It will just come from maybe like a few pages. So you find out that 20% of the entire course is what will make you get an A or get a B or whatnot. So look for the 20%. And this has to do with a lot of cognitive ability, the ability to discern, which is the most important. Look for that 20% that yields the 80% and focus on it, right? This will help you like prioritize. What do I need to invest my time in? Let's put on that scenario, for example. I want to cook a meal, right? Cooking entails a lot. It entails me going to the market. It entails me, slicing all of these vegetables and whatnot, right? So going to the market is part of the job, right? Slicing the vegetables is part of the job. But the real 20% is actually putting the food on fire and cooking it. So if I spend too much time, going to the market, maybe I don't want to go to the market close by. I decide I want to go to the market that's very far because I think that they have more there. And they might not have more in the one very close to me. I'm just going to waste time, right? So focus on the most important thing, right? Focus on the cooking. If I can't use pomo, I can use dried fish, right? So what it means, I'm going to now look at it. Okay, the cooking is the most important. Let me channel my energy towards that rather than wasting time on the other guys that will not exactly yield. And this doesn't mean you should not do them. Do them, but do not waste too much time. So when I have a plan, I'll look for the 20% in my plan. What is going to yield the most and focus on it. Do you understand? Okay, so I'll move ahead. The next one is, the next one is the Parkinson's law. Now, I'm going to use the law to give you a technique, right? So now what happens is work always finds a way to expand and fill the time that you've given to it. So, for example, if I say I'm going to read a book, a 500-page book in 1 week, perhaps this book is probably going to usually should take maybe 2 days, but I've given it 1 week. There's this human nature to be a little relaxed till it gets to see when it wants to choke you. So you find out that book that you eventually spend 1 week reading that book, but you find out that you spent only actual 2 days reading the book because the rest of the time you were just chill, waiting for when it was going to get towards the deadline. Then adrenaline pops, and then you now hurry up and finish it. So you actually spent 1 week. But in real sense, you spend just about 2 days, right? So my point is, the technique here is give stringent deadlines, right? If you're so relaxed, you give yourself a lot of time. Oh, I want to do this. I'm going to give myself 1 month. I promise you, you will not achieve that until that 1 month comes. But by the time I set 1 week, I might not achieve it in 1 week. But what? It now puts me under some little bit of pressure, right? And then pressure actually helps sometimes, right? Because it helps your adrenaline pop. And you're like, okay, put in a lot of effort, and then you find out that you might not achieve it in 1 week, but then you achieve it in maybe 1 week and 2 days, or 1 week and 3 days, as opposed to setting 1 month, right? You eventually achieve it in 1 month, but what? You find out that what? You wasted a lot of time, hovering around, doing unnecessary things, because what? You've set a lot of time. You're like, my deadline is not here. I'm going to do it. Come on, there's time now. There's time now, right? So the point is, work will expand. It will expand to take time. That guy is greedy as hell. It will take whatever time you give to it. So set stringent, tighter deadlines. and try to meet them, right? If you're unable to meet them, fine. Do you understand? Adjust and try to meet the next one. But make sure your deadlines are tight. If not, you're going to waste a lot of time and you will not manage time effectively. So move on to the next one. It is called the Pomodoro technique. It was developed by Francesco Cirillo. Now, this happened to be, you can research on it later. He actually had this tomato-shaped kitchen timer, which was set for about 25 to 30 minutes. So he usually set it to do a quick job, right? Right. So what this Pomodoro technique talks about is take a task, set a time, right? Do intense work within that period of time, right? Say I want to set time for, I want to do a job for, I have a task, right? A bulk of a task. Then I split it into fragments and I take 25 minutes and I focus for that 25 minutes full time. I'm not looking left, looking right. And I focus for 25 minutes and I quickly, take off, cool off, maybe a 5 minutes break, right? You find out that sometimes you get saturated. So if, for example, I have 2 hours for a task, right? And I just go stretch 2 hours, find that I'll probably not be productive for the remaining maybe 30 minutes of that time I set, right? Because I'm exhausted, I'm saturated, right? So I might not achieve much. But then if I'm taking intermittent breaks, right? I take maybe 25 minutes or 30 minutes. And like I said, I'm not trying to make you robot. So this 25 minutes you can see on my screen doesn't mean it has to be 25 minutes. Whatever works for you, whatever time you set that you feel that you're actually going to be productive, set that time, focus on the task, take it head on, right? And then take a short break. You find out that when you take that short break, you kind of rejuvenate. Do you understand? Have you ever taken, maybe you're reading the book, right, sometime, and then you find out you're not understanding anything. You're not understanding nada. But then you just walk away for a bit and then you come back and you're like, this line that you were reading 5, 6 times, 7 times, it's not clear to you. Sometimes the brain is like a computer. It needs to actually reboot, you understand, to function. So you need to, you find out you be more productive and you actually manage time better than spending 2 hours and not achieving anything. So I could cut it, break it, and eventually achieve it in less time. So that's what the Pomodoro technique talks about. Now let's look at time management for students, because I understand, like I said, I have a lot of students on this call. So let's see how we can make it practical for students here and how they can actually manage time better and become better persons. So let's see how we can create an effective study scheduling, or how we can do effective study scheduling. Now, this actually speaks to what I just talked about, time blocking. Now, assign specific hours for study and stick to them. Now, many times some people think you're like Superman, right? You want to do 1 million things at the same time. I can do it. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. No. So maybe I have like a to-do list. And then I'm just like, yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks to do. And then I'm just doing them, randomly. I'm not completely just like there's one meme I saw one time. It was like an apple, like a basket of apples, right? And then a rat had eaten like pot bits from all of these apples. They just bite here, bite here, bite here, bite here, bite here, right? And then eventually he hasn't finished any apple. Don't be that guy. Do you understand? Take a task, give it a specific time, focus on that time, get done with it. So the point is, do time blocking, right? Assign time to a certain task, give deep work, right? Avoid multitasking, focus on that subject in time and finish it. So for example, I say, hey, I want to study whatever the course is. Let me say, if you're an engineer, for example, me, I say I want to study thermodynamics, right? Of course, it's probably not only thermodynamics I'm doing as a student. I'm doing thermodynamics, I'm doing fluid mechanics or whatever. I don't read thermodynamics, I'm reading fluid mechanics at the same time. So I take thermodynamics and I focus on thermodynamics for 1 hour, right? When I'm done, I can go to something else. So deep work, don't multitask, focus on that, get it done, all right? The next section will be beating procrastination. And this, as crazy as it is something I do, right? The first one is the 2 minute rule. Now think about it. If a task can be done in 2 minutes, why are you procrastinating? Get it done. Oh, I want to wash the dish. You just had a meal, 1 plate, right? It's just 1 plate, right? Just go and wash it. It's probably not going to take you 2 minutes. Do it immediately. It's less than 2 minutes. Get it done. You find out you manage time, right? Get it done. So evaluate your task. Is this task going to take me less than 2 minutes? If it's going to take you less than 2 minutes, get it done and get it done immediately. All right. The next one is the 5 second rule. And this is crazy too, but it's something that I do myself. It's just like you have so many things to do, you have something to do, and you are thinking of how many ways, so many ways to do it. And should I do it this way? Just count 5 to 0 and just start. Like for example, I'm trying to make a presentation and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking too much. I'm going to start like this. I'm going to start like this. I want this effect. I want this blah. Bro, just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And just start. Right? Once you start, you find out that eventually you get the thing done. And then some of these things that you're overthinking will start coming in. So it's like you're thinking and you're working rather than overthinking and not doing anything. And then this is some other topic about, personality types and the melancholics that have to spend a lot of time overthinking. Overthinking, and they actually do not actually achieve anything. There's no result. Don't be that guy. You understand? Count down, get it done. Right? And then another way to beat procrastination is actually rewarding yourself sometimes. If I'm able to achieve this, I'm going to buy myself shawarma. If you have the money, of course. If you don't have the money, don't enter Sakpao. Just do what you can afford. But then if you can reward yourself to the best of you, make it a good practice. Man, if I'm able to achieve this, man, I'm going to get this for myself. So reward yourself. That's another way that can help you beat procrastination, right? And then let's look at the last section here. How we can handle academic workload and extracurricular activities. Of course, I wouldn't sit here and tell you, I graduated sometime 10 years ago. I wouldn't sit here and tell you that, hey, while I was in school, I just, like this guy seated on this round table on my screen. This was all I did in school. I lie. Of course, I had extracurricular activities. I do a lot of things as I am now, right? And if I did not develop some of these skill sets, then of course I wouldn't have been who I am today. But the point is, you only just need to find the balance. Do you understand? There should be time. But if you plan your time well, you're going to have time for extracurricular activities. You even have extra time for extracurricular activities, right? So prioritize coursework based on deadlines and importance, right? And this was one mistake I made myself while I was growing up. I wish somebody actually told me. So I had like, while I was in my first level, 100 level, I had like a lot of courses. I found some I was really good at, right? But I didn't evaluate the course load and, the units load or whatnot. So I just focused on the ones that I was really good at, over developing myself as the case may be, right? And then when it was time, I found out I had no time again. Oh, wow, the big courses, I didn't even have time to study them and all of that. Well, I learned the hard way. I was able to readjust, thank God. But then this is me telling you to try to prioritize, right? Look for the ones that actually matter. Okay. Avoid overloading yourself. Learn to say no. Shadi wants to do birthday, right? She wants to do birthday. Once you attend, Shadi is not your best friend. Stay at home, right? Do not take unnecessary commitments. Oh, you have to be the this or blah blah blah. You must be the one to. No, I promise you, if you're not there, like war will continue. Do not take unnecessary commitments, right? Take commitment, of course. Don't be that guy that's not relating with people. No, don't be that guy. However, balance it out, okay? And then finally, balance academic with extracurricular activities using the planner as much as you can. Remember, I said I'm not trying to make you a robot. However, but as much as you can, if you say, "Hey, I want to do this, 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 and then I'm going to spend this amount of time for extracurricular activity," fine. It makes you structured, it makes you planned, it makes you organized, and then you don't waste a lot of time. Okay, so on the final note, because I have to also manage the time, and I know the time I was given here. Time is a non-renewable resource. It's not like whatever you've heard of. You can never get the time. 3 p.m. or 3:15 when we started this session, 2025, the 15th of February, we will never come again. We've expended this time. It is gone. It's gone into the abyss. I wish you could see some accounts where this time was going to. You see that it's there and it's never going to rise again. This time has gone. So time is non-renewable. You will never get time again. So learn to manage it well, right? If you learn to manage it, it's a skill set that would benefit you as a student. And even if you're a professional on this call, it's definitely going to benefit you. I promise you, time management has done a lot for me in terms of planning. I'm someone that does a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. Like she said in my profile, I'm a voiceover artist, I'm a this, I'm a that. If I do not know how to manage my time, of course, how am I going to achieve all of this? So success is not about being busy. Don't get it wrong. Don't think, hey, set up a plan and just be hovering around and look busy. Nah, it's about being productive. And how can you be productive? You can only be productive if you properly plan, if you properly have the time management skill set, probably analyze and have all these things set in good chronology and achieve them slowly, steadily, and meeting time. On that note, I'll say thank you guys for listening. And then I can take questions at this point. Mistura, I'll hand it
Okay,
over to
so
you.
before the questions, thank you very much, Bob Manuel, Sepri Bob Nelson. I see Baraka is clapping. So you can show appreciation, show love with
So I'm going to
emojis.
unshare my screen, okay? Because I want to see the claps too, but this thing is just because it's minimized. Okay. Anyways, I can see claps. For me, if I want the clap, I just spend time.
I think you should put on the check your participant section.
Yeah. So
So
can I
you
unshare my
get
screen? It's
six.
just question and
Yes,
answer. There's
please.
nothing else
Yeah,
to
you
share. So I'm
can.
going to share my screen. Okay, so I can have a good feel. All right, back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you can see the claps.
Yes, I
Okay,
can see the
so
clap. Please
thank
keep
you
clapping.
very
Thank you.
much. I see this session is themed time management, and for my time, I see we perfectly managed the time because we did not start at 3, and I gave him an hour to do this effectively, inclusive of question and answer. So thank you again. Small tip, I and Bob Manuel were actually colleagues at work, and I knew
Just
he
have to
was the
tell them,
man
right?
for the job. I knew he was the man for the job because, as I said, he does a whole lot of things. Imagine an engineer being a voiceover artist, as a podcast session and all like that. And he was doing everything effectively to the extent that he was even titled Best Dangote Engineer Training um, of the year, or is it of what? I don't know.
No, I leave all these things on the flesh.
So please, your questions. This is in-house, and I expect us to be as free as we can. I listened carefully. He gave us different techniques, things we can do, how we can do it effectively. And it was even tailored towards students. So please, your questions. I want to see hands. Questions. Okay.
Yeah, see one hand.
Unmute yourself, please.
Okay,
Either
sir.
John, right?
Thank
Yeah.
thank you very much for your presentation. I really learned a lot, sir.
Okay.
Okay, my question is I'm someone that is, how will I put it? I'm taxed with so many things
Mm,
from my own end,
okay.
and I'm trying as much as possible to meet up with everything, but I find out that I'm lagging in some, so I don't really know how can we practicalize all what you've said in reality, because I know it's something that to do it in reality is kind of difficult. So how can we maximize what we've learned today currently?
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. Don't amuse yourself. You're a student, are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. First of all, do you mind sharing some of all these things that are getting you preoccupied? Do you mind? Just a few. You don't have to be too personal. Just tell me like a few things.
Yes. Okay, sir. I need help, so I have to say it out. Okay,
Okay, go
currently
ahead.
yes, sir. Currently I'm the general secretary of my society, my
One time
department
this, one time that.
society, and
Okay.
also I'm currently a student, so I'm trying as much as possible to meet up with my academic studies, because currently we
Okay.
are offering 3 4 credit unit courses, so the workload
Okay.
is very much, and I'm trying to
Okay.
meet up to study early, because I've seen that studying early is what works for me. And
Mm-hmm.
also I'm enrolled in some courses online, one
Okay.
on data camp, one on LinkedIn Learning, and one on Coursera.
Okay.
All are data analysis courses, and I'm
Okay.
trying as much as possible to meet up, but I'm currently just focused on the data camp one. And
Okay.
also I'm currently on 2 leadership program,
Okay.
one Aspire Leaders program and another one Kectil Leaders program. Also this Mr. B's current mentorship program. So I don't
Okay.
know how I can try as much as possible to carry all of them along. I don't know if it's possible. So
Okay, so I'm going to tell you
this,
first of all, right? As much as you can manage your time and say all this beautiful stuff, there's what you call capacity. You have a capacity as a human, right? It's not rocket science. You cannot do things beyond your capacity. Do you understand? So unfortunately, you'd have to prioritize all this, and you have to let go of some. It's not. It's a no-brainer. It's a lot, right? As a student, it's good to involve yourself in all these things. It's good to put your hands there, put your hands there, put your hands there. But you find out that if you're involved in so many things, you're not focused on maybe take a few to focus on. You just be like that guy. I told you about a meme of apples in the basket, and you're just biting here, here, here. You're not eating any of the apple. You're not probably not learning as much in any of them. So yeah, I understand you want to be a data analyst. That's like the trending stuff. If you could, schedule that. It's important, right? But it's probably not urgent. So I'm bringing the practical sense to you now. The Eisenhower matrix. It is important, but it's not urgent. Schedule it. Look for some other convenient time. You're this general secretary. It's a tenure-based stuff. It's going to expire sometime soon, right? Good. Let it expire. Relieve some of the workload, then focus. There are certain ones you can't drop now. There are others you can drop. Drop the ones that you can, schedule them. Do you understand? Look for a convenient time and fit them in. Do you get it? Then if there's anyone in all of these tasks you can delegate, you are the secretary or whatnot, right? There are people still under you, perhaps. Give out some of the jobs. I know some of us are perfectionists. You think that, hey, if I don't do the job, it's not going to be perfect. No, teach some people how to do the job so that they can help you do it too. So delegate some, right? So first off, you have to do away with some. And I don't mean entirely do away with it. I mean schedule it because it's important. Evaluate each of them using the Eisenhower matrix. Think about it. Is it important? Yes, it's important. Don't take it off. Go and schedule it. Okay, I want to do this course. I want to be a blah 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 blah. Look for its perfect time to schedule it. Me too. I want to be so many things. I want to be the president of Nigeria too, but I can't be that now. You understand? So I'm going to schedule it. I have a lot of courses that I wanted to do. So I said, no, I can't take all of this load. I have to schedule it. So I say, okay, by this time next year, I'm going to start this. And I'll be true to it. You understand? So my brother, you have too much of load, right? You need to shed, right? And share doesn't mean you need to trade away. So have it documented, right? Have all these things documented, prioritize them, look for the ones that you can't take now and schedule them, and then make sure that they're trackable so that I can always come back to them and handle them when you have freer time. Do you understand? So you have a capacity as a human being, right? You have a capacity and then you need to actually work within your capacity. So my best advice for you is look for the ones that are not urgent because I believe all of them are important. Calm down, evaluate them, look for the ones that are not urgent and schedule them. Does that answer your question, please? The host wants to say something. Mr. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much,
thank
Bob. I
you.
just want to chip in one or two things into okay, I noticed you mentioned being a part of three data analytics or data science training. Data science is practically the same thing everywhere. So why did you have to apply to 3D? Okay, probably I know maybe you were applying to three because maybe you've not gotten chosen. And after you were chosen, you can just look for the best amongst all of them
Yes, and
and subscribe to it. You
correct.
can lay off the remaining because I know they are time bound. Most of these things are like boot camps. So you have to keep submitting assignments and it's not easy. You have to do Excel. You have to do either Python or R. You have to do SQL and all of these things. So I think you need to prioritize. You are a student. Your grades are actually the most
Coursework is
important
there.
thing for you right now.
Correct.
Because without that good degree, without that good certificate, I know, yes, with data analysis, you can do something, but still, you want that good grade pen down on your certificate so it's presentable because it was worth it. Spending 4 to 5 years investing, no be beans. You don't want to just walk away like that. So please, out of the three, look at your best bets and lay off the remaining two. I don't know if it works for you, fine. But with money, with time management, you don't have to be involved in everything. You cannot be everywhere. Just like Bob said, one time this, one time that. You cannot be everywhere, sincerely. So even this, oh yes, leadership skills are important. Then I don't know, just choose which works best for you and shed some off, let some go. That's what I would say. Okay, so wow, that was I saw Baraka raise up her hand earlier. So
We
please
can let
unmute
Baraka talk.
yourself and ask your question.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the
Can you
for
speak up a
quite
bit?
okay, thank you so much. It was quite an enlightening session. So I
Okay, go ahead.
wanted to consider, like, first, like, most of us are students. For me personally, there are times when I schedule time for some tasks and the time elapses. So going back to those tasks subsequently, because I have other things that are quite hard. And a lot of times I don't end up going back to those tasks that I left behind, and not finishing them would affect like my progress. Like, for example, studying, unless I have a topic to study, for the time I assigned to it, I wasn't able to complete it. And now we've taken a new lecture in class. I want to complete that too. So, like in the long run, I have like piled up topics that I've not read, new topics that are coming, and it's always quite overwhelming. Me going back to those things I've not read and now new topics came up. So I don't know if there is any way you can like advise me regarding like
So,
studying
so,
effectively.
so I'm going to go to, remember I said I'm trying to make you imbibe some of all of this techniques that we talked about, right? Trying to bring them to real life. So I'll go to the Pareto principle, right? You learned the course in class today, right? I can tell you for free that it's not line to line that you need. And this is not me trying to dissuade you from reading in depth. No, try to look central. Now we have a lot of tools, right, that help you summarize a lot of stuff. There's ChatGPT and whatnot, right? Use a lot of these tools. You learn something. You're gonna read for exam later on, right? But you want to make sure you got what you learned in class, right? Take that topic, get it summarized somewhere by some of all these, tools, and get the core, the crux of it, so that what you are able to do all of that stuff in a shorter time. Do you understand? Now I'm going to ask you a question too. What is the thing that interferes with that time that you set? It means you're not actually evaluating the time required. So now you need to actually go back and do some kind of soul searching. Am I able to schedule this stuff with the right timing? And that is it requires a lot of skill set. Hey, and it also requires you to study yourself. Do you understand? This doesn't, it's not like straight out the book formula kind of thing. No, it varies with persons. So you have to check yourself. In how long can I complete certain stuff? Because you go, okay, yeah, you say you want to study, and then you have one big text, but you just said 1 hour. You feel like you're going to complete it, and you run for the next thing. No, like I said, I told you earlier to give yourself short deadlines, but doesn't mean you should make it impossible to achieve. Put a good time frame, right, so that nothing interferes, and then try to get some of all these things. Look for the 20% in them, so that you don't spend too much time doing so less things. Do you understand? So look for what is important in what you're doing. So for that, like your coursework, for the important part, it's not everything that the lecturer said in class or everything is no that's actually important. I must tell you the truth. That's the truth. Do you understand? So look out for all these tools, ChatGPT, there's even DeepSeek and what of all this AI that are helping you, that should help you guys. We didn't have all of these things when we were back in school. Summarize these topics, go for the key points and understand it. And once you understand it, you find out that it's actually easier for you. So look for the important part of it. Look for the 20%. I feel like you're spending a lot of time on the 80%, which is not yielding. So look for the 20%. But that has to do with a lot of you evaluating. Do you understand? So take some time, study yourself, see how long it takes you to complete tasks. So you give schedules that are actually reasonable. Do you understand? Because it seems like it's a thing that where you actually put a schedule and you don't achieve it, right? And then when you don't achieve it too many times, you find out that you start to lose morale. So put a realistic schedule, right? Start by and that will entail you studying yourself to know what schedule works for you. Put a realistic schedule and also try to evaluate. Look for the 20% in the 100% and focus on that. All right. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's thank you so much.
All right. Is there any other question? Do you have any other reason why I was asked question?
Questions?
Idara, were you satisfied with your answer? Idara Jumbo.
Yes, I'm satisfied. I'll have to let go of some and focus on the
Yes,
one that I got.
you do
Thank you,
have
sir.
to. Unfortunately, that's the case. Yeah. All right. We don't have any other questions, Mr. Adewi. I think everyone is
Mm,
trying to manage
yeah,
time
I guess
going forward.
you did a great job, and we
I
all
guess so.
understood
Yeah, I guess
what
so then.
you. Yeah, so okay, just to chip in, I recently learned there is it an app? I don't know because I was trying to reach out to someone
Mm.
and I noticed she's always like, I don't get my WhatsApp calls immediately, else I
Mm.
check my phone. And I'm like, what's that? I don't understand. Is it not supposed to pop up on your phone? So probably it
I
could be
know,
useful as a student. I think probably there's an app or something you get to download on your phone where you can actually restrict the maybe the things you see on your social media, either chats or calls, probably at that time when you really have to focus and
right?
read,
Yeah.
you could just turn on something like that for that
Block it
time
out.
being.
Block it out and
Yes.
focus.
So I think it could even work for this Pomodoro stuff. Maybe that
Exactly.
25 minutes, you put
Yes,
that
that's
on.
in 5 minutes. Put your phone out, silence it, push it away, and
Yes, because I
focus.
remember when I was in school, I used to put my phone under the bed because there was this naughty game we used to play. This one where you have to match colors and the likes like that. I
Is
can't
it the,
remember
is it
the
the
name.
Candy Crush?
God bless you, Candy Crush. It's almost ruined my
That
life.
that game almost took my final year project. But let's just thank God. Oh my
But
God.
we kept playing and changing the date to continue playing. And at some point, I
Yes,
was like,
now.
no, you will not see the end of me. So I just put my
Exactly.
phone under the bed and that's it. So I would not even turn around. I might even just forget it there because I want to stay focused. And now I'm so used to my phone being on silence that I'm sure most people can testify to it. I just call you. I'm like, sorry, I saw your missed call and all like that. Yeah. So I think there are so many tools now that are actually very, very effective that we can use to manage our time. And Bob has actually shared a lot. We have even the simplest tool on our phone, which is our alarm clock, works
Correct.
effectively. It has
Yeah. Of
timer, set your time, and let these things actually work for you. And I'm sure you would appreciate this session. It
course.
is
And remember,
recorded. What
remember,
do you say?
let me just say, drop one thing. Remember, we're not trying to make you guys robots. Remember, I said it time and again. We're not trying to make you robots. No. But if you want to imbibe these principles, you have to first be intentional. Like you actually have to be intentional. When you're intentional, say for the first 1 month, 2 months, I don't know, few months, it now becomes you. It now becomes your lifestyle. And then you don't have to actually, try to, I tell you for free, I don't put up my decision and say I want to do, no, 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 it just happens. Tunes it's just my life. And I just find out I'm managing time effectively. But first of all, you have to be intentional about applying the principles and then they become your lifestyle. All right. On that note, Mr. Ra, you can do what you want to do.
So thank you very much. I will just give a summary of what you have said. Like you said just now, be intentional, be disciplined. I think that is very important. Be disciplined, try to manage your time, prioritize. Don't get involved in everything. You cannot be everywhere. Know what matters to you and I believe you would be able to scale through to an extent. Let me use these words. No one wants you to be a robot, but we just want you to do things effectively. So, you remember our last session was on goal setting. So, and he said earlier, imagine he did not even join the session, but if you don't write down these things, it's just a wish. That's the same reason why we ask you guys to write down your goals, have a vision board, so you get to see it and it's easy to work towards. If you don't manage your time, you won't be able to achieve these goals that you have set because you have to prioritize. There are a lot of things we want to do. Like you said, he wants to be the president of Nigeria, but maybe this is not the right time. So he needs to focus now
Correct.
and let people know his name. So when it's time for election, we remember, oh, okay, Bob.
That's the voice by Bob.
Bob, the people that wants to build Nigeria. So
I
things like that.
know.
So please, 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 thank you very much. I see almost all mentors are on the call. I thank you for joining. I'm sure you can have a one-on-one session with your mentees, plan with them. Let us see how we can achieve these things. And the group is open for discussion. So I think by this, we call it a day. Thank you and have a nice day.
And then I must commend us for managing time. We started at about 15, 16, and it's 16, 16, 1 hour. And then y'all take it easy, right?
Thank you. So, bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
lovely day.
So you want to see our across the